chair, I would like to extend a formal and very warm welcome to the 3rd Annual Welsh Coaching Conference. I am very, very proud looking around this room at the size, the energy, the level of engagement in the coaching community in Wales. And if there is any part, however small, that the University of South Wales as a higher education partner for the coaching industry has played, be it through our Executive and Workplace Coaching Centre, be it through our consultancy, working with organisations to set up and establish robust coaching cultures and practices, our training, our qualifications, the conferences, CPD events, our work with the Association for Coaching and the Co-Coaching for, any of these different things we do, that is great. And long may it continue, and thank you for giving us your support. And that very neatly tees me up to introduce to you our Deputy Director at the University of South Wales for Research and Business Engagement. Can I please ask you to welcome up here onto the stage Dr. Louise Bright. Thank you, everyone.
It's a real pleasure to be with you all. So I'm Louise, I'm Deputy Director of Research and Business Engagement at the University of South Wales, but I'm also on a part-time basis, the Associate Director for the Leadership Foundation in Higher Education. And my role there is to look after Welsh institutions and make sure we're developing the staff to be really good leaders. We want to make an impact in Wales, and that's much more broadly than educating our staff and students. It's about working with people like you, and I think it's about listening to people like you. Please come and talk to any of us about any ideas you might have, because we're absolutely open to having those conversations and to working with you to make a real difference.
It does give me great delight to ask you to please welcome onto stage the Chair of the Association for Coaching, Gill Smith.
So, mastery in coaching. What is this thing, mastery? I'm sure today you'll hear lots of different interpretations of it in the different masterclasses and workshops. So is mastery something that you do? Is it 10,000 hours of practice, like it might be to attain mastery in a musical instrument or a sport? Or is mastery perhaps something more about being? And perhaps it's a lifelong journey to be in such a way that you can take yourself out of getting in the way of your coachee in your coaching sessions. I'm sure there's lots of different interpretations. This is how Carol Kaufman talks about masterful coaching in her introduction. And you'll notice that she talks here about the greatest challenge being to bridge good theory and research to best practice, because we want to advance coaching so that it can have a bigger impact, not just on the people that we coach, but also on the organisations where that happens and more broadly in society.
For our opening keynote, if there is such a thing as a household name in the world of coaching and mentoring, then Professor David Clutterbuck very well might be that person. I've had a look at the biography in the programme, and I think it's characteristically modest, and that we can't underestimate the contribution that David has made to our practice. You probably very well have one or more of his books on your shelf. His work, his research has probably informed your practice. Exploring the theme of moving to mastery for our opening keynote for the 3rd annual conference, if I could please ask you to welcome Professor David Clutterbuck.
Thank you, David. One of the things that I often say when I just start off a speech of this kind is that in coaching, if you know where the conversation is going, it's not coaching. And if you think about it, if you get that sense, well, I know exactly what's going to happen here, you are probably falling into your role as expert rather than your role as a coach. The concept of coaching culture is an evolving one because culture evolves and our concept of what culture is. Therefore, our concept of what a coaching culture is evolving. And I'm going to start by just saying something about systems. We are systems. Each one of us is a community, a colony of bacteria. The way that we think, what we had for breakfast today, will affect our gut bacteria, which is affecting the way that we are thinking and the way that we behave. Everything around us, within us, is a system. And our awareness of ourselves as a system is pretty poor and our awareness of the systems going on around us is poor. We are all members of multiple systems. And those systems, there's multiple layers to those systems. The system of our family, the system of our close working relationships, the system of the team, the organisation, society, everything. We are all part of multiple systems. And what is coaching but a way of having conversations that helps us raise our awareness of what's going on in those systems, the internal systems and the external systems, and actually make better decisions about how we work within those. So sometimes what we're doing as coaches is helping people find words or expressions for things, concepts they haven't considered, because that's the way that they change the way that they think and therefore the way that we behave. We are in the business of creating new vocabulary. Because if all of this confusion out there, all these systems interacting, it's impossible to actually understand it all, and therefore we create narratives against which we try and act. And those narratives can get very fixed, or those narratives we can occasionally shift. The narratives, they help us survive, they also constrain us. I think we are at a point in the development of coaching where we have to stop thinking about this is the way we do it, these are the processes, these are the models and all the rest of it, and have to think about what are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves so that we are better prepared to ask the right questions of our clients so they could become fully functioning individuals within themselves and within the systems of which they're a part. Thank you.
Please welcome onto stage Professor Peter Hawkins.
We're going to talk about what has coaching achieved and how is this next period of time going to require something different. But I'm going to do something which is very dangerous to do straight after lunch, which is I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes and just to make sure that none of you fall asleep, could you put your right hand on your heart? And close your eyes and just picture and allow it to come up on your internal screen all the people who benefit today from you, who you are, your work. And then I'm going to invite you just to lean a little into the future. Not fall off your chair, but lean into the future and imagine who might come over the horizon in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, which might bring you some new challenges. What is it that you need to learn today that will be of value to at least 100 people in your future? What might, in 3 years' time, you regret not having learnt today in order that you can make a difference to those people who life will send you as your next challenge? What do my future stakeholders need me to learn today? So turn to the person next to you. If you don't have an answer, get your question in first. we bring those conversations to a close. So let me tell you, see, I think that where we really learn coaching is not on training courses, not even in supervision, despite what I said this morning. It's when we're faced with the next client that brings us the next challenge. What I want to suggest is that coaching has been incredibly successful in the last 30 years, but that what's got us to here will not get us successful in the next 30. So let me set that in context. Any profession, any organization, this is the Reg Revens formula for organizational survival. If the profession and the organization is not learning faster than the environment is changing, it's on the road to extinction. We've been very successful, but notice, companies who are very successful are often the last to learn. Change is getting faster and more complex, more interconnected. Peter Senge, some of you know his work, recently in a talk he said, which I thought was put it really very, very well. For millennia, we have known as human beings how to flourish in localized niches. But now, for better or worse, we have created one global interconnected niche, economically, politically, socially. And as a species, we have no idea how to flourish in one global interconnected niche. I think that's requiring a level of evolution in human consciousness way beyond anything we've had to face previously. We can no longer, as a species, afford to evolve one person at a time, evolve consciousness one person at a time. When I speak to CEOs, they say to me, look, the real challenges in our organization don't lie in the divisions or in the individuals. They lie in the connections. David sort of quoted me on this. Yeah? The trouble is, consultants consult to the parts and coaches coach the individuals. But the real challenges lie in the connections. And we haven't yet learned how to coach the spaces between individuals, between teams. So just moving from individual coaching to team coaching to organizational coaching is not enough, because we just move the level of system or unit that we're looking at. We have to be able to learn, how do we coach the spaces between? So how can we as coaches help organizations as well as individuals move from business as usual to being fit for the future? Thank you.